So I just look at question 17, which reads, the mother of 4-month-old has not received any immunizations. She states that her sister's child has autism and that it came from an immunization, so won't my child get autism too? So I would just start by telling this mother that I understand this has kind of become an increasing concern over the past few years, but there have been several extensive studies done by the CDC as well as the Interagency Autism Coordinating Community and the National Vaccine Advisory Committee, and every study has shown that there is absolutely no link between vaccines and autism. Other than the few rare exceptions, vaccines are extremely safe. The only common adverse effects are redness, bruising, and a little bit of mild soreness at the injection site. The biggest ingredient that people were concerned about when talking about autism was the ingredient thimerosal, which is a mercury-based preservative used in vaccines where multi-doses are being used from each vial. And the purpose of this ingredient was to inhibit bacterial growth, being that it was a multi-dose vial. In the late 1990s, thimerosal was removed or reduced in vaccines to limit exposure to mercury in children. So the only vaccines that currently include this ingredient are flu vaccines that are multi-dose vials. However, there are thimerosal-free alternatives available when talking about the flu vaccine. So it's not really something to be concerned about since there are alternatives, and the research has shown that there isn't a connection between the ingredient and autism. The other thing that I would mention to her is that when they did these studies on thimerosal, they noted that the amount that was in the vaccines was so small, and then it didn't have, the body eliminated it so quickly, so there wasn't enough time for it to accumulate in the system. So there were no toxic effects from this ingredient. I would just ask her if she has any other questions so that I can, talk more specifically about the different vaccines at that time. And the CDC has some really great handouts for parents and patients who are questioning vaccines and the safety of them. So I think that would be a great tool to utilize with this mom. Unfortunately, this is kind of a common thing that I think people tend to see. My sister-in-law is against vaccines and she's a nurse, and so just trying to educate people without being too pushy or aggressive about it, but just saying, here's the information, this is evidence-based. And so when you talk about these diseases that are coming back, like measles, and they're just more frequent now, it's important to discuss the risk and benefit of getting a vaccine versus getting a disease that could be detrimental to the child. So yeah,